Hey, Skiba News Nation family. What's up, Jake? What's up, Opa? How's it going?
Well, everything's okay here.
We're jamming. We're jamming. We want to jam it with you. I'm Jackman, and he's Jeremiah too. We're J-Man. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Just came over me. I don't know.
Love it.
All right.
Love it.
Well, hey, guys. What's up, everybody?
Let me turn on the comments so people can see it on the screen here. Getting people in here. I'll do my world famous magic trick. You ready?
Yes.
Oh, how did I do that? Hey, you want to see something else? Check this out.
Is that a backward 666 finger?
No, I just turned my finger. I bent it all the way backwards.
Oh! I was just. It looked like you were doing the Illuminati symbol, just backwards.
You know, I think it's
whoa,
not about symbol.
Oh my goodness! What's going on down there?
That's Derek.
Oh my goodness! Yes, we are really live. Welcome to the show.
Crazy today. We're crazy today.
Well, you know what? Let's start it off with something fun. You guys want to start off with the meme challenge, Jeremiah?
Sure, yeah. I posted this photo right here on YouTube and other places, and I said, hey, it's time to do a meme contest. You guys, meme me. And so the best one gets his shout out on the live stream, and got so many submissions. And my favorite one, me and Lindsay were looking through them, was this one. Jeremiah showed up to the FBI like it's a parent-teacher conference. And I thought that was the funniest thing. So shout out to the Hayes brothers. Love you guys. Shout outs for you guys.
That's hilarious.
But
yeah, we got to do more of those meme contests.
Yep. In the I believe they used to call it community on YouTube, but now it's posts. So check our posts part of YouTube, and we'll be posting more stuff. So
awesome.
Sounds
well, hey, I think we could start off with a funny kind of meme-esque compilation I have this week. I hopefully am going to have a baby soon to take care of, and apparently back in the day they had this technology.
Here's an invention with a dual purpose. Not only does it give baby something to do when it's not eating or sleeping, but it also develops the leg muscles, making every child a potential soccer international.
Never bored.
Incidentally, the idea is a great boon to parents, for the infant, having got incredibly bored with the treadmill, takes refuge in sleep.
Oppo was actually the baby in that commercial.
Yeah, it was. Wonder what happened to that device.
It was like a medieval death contraption that they stuck a baby in and found out it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's probably what happened.
Oh, man. Technology is so amazing today. Some people used to say that supposedly there's a spark of light at the moment of conception. Well, now it's been videoed. There's actually a spark of light at the moment of conception. Just amazing. Just amazing. I mean, look at that. And just the fact that we can witness this on this microscopic level, like the moment of life. And there's like literally a spark of spontaneous light.
Now, how did they get that footage?
A really tiny camera, probably.
Mm.
Pretty invasive.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, anyways, just recently, from a volcanic eruption in Chile, it looks like a giant has emerged from all the smoke and ash. So, do you guys see it? Do you guys see like a
Photoshop?
Could be.
I think this one's legitimate. It's just the shape of the cloud.
Get ready, everyone.
Sorry. What were you saying, Jeremiah?
I remember when 9/11 happened, and one of the towers, they took a photo and it looked like a demon head. and it creeped me out as a kid. But that's kind of what it reminded me of.
Yikes.
Seeing stuff in the clouds and the volcanic ash.
I love cloud watching on nice, fluffy, blue sky, cloudy days. But really, whenever it comes to volcano creatures, I have to always call back to a few years ago, the La Palma volcano, I believe it is, that was off the coast of Europe. Man, that one had like this big winged demon creature coming out of its volcano. Well,
thank you.
a few days, guys, there's going to be a cool celestial alignment of all the planets going
for a
across
rare
the heavens.
astronomical event. In August 2025, sky watchers around the world will have the chance to witness a spectacular celestial event, a planetary alignment, also known as a planetary parade.
So I think this is super cool. Obviously, this is just for the star watchers among us, and I know a few too many people with a Nikon P900 or P1000, and I love when things happen that are really strange looking in the skies. I've seen a couple real good ones over the years. How about you guys? Have you guys ever seen like a weird conjunction or any kind of like alignment? Maybe a comet. Did you see Hale-Bopp, Opa?
Nope.
No, we did see the eclipse when my mom was still here. But I did see something kind of weird on the plane on the way to DC, and it was the sun. The sun was going down, and it was like a orange, not an orange, but like a pink, and it was the weirdest thing we'd ever seen, and it just kept staying there when it got there, and then it seemed like it got bigger. So weird.
Well, when I was a kid, we could sit in my backyard and we could see the old Echo satellite that the U.S. put up, which was a big balloon. And we could see the Sputnik. And then when we went camping up in northern New Mexico, we could watch, stars falling out of the sky, or not stars, but asteroids or whatever junk coming down. And other stuff going across the sky, like satellites or something. That's it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I wish I had somebody who was so well informed about coming celestial events that they could be like, okay, this is the rarest, end all, be all, most spectacular thing to look at. Whether it's the nova that's supposed to come this year, for all I know, it's already happened, but or like an alignment of planets that doesn't happen very, very often. Because I've seen several different alignments. Like you had the September 23rd sign in 2017. You had the eclipses. I saw both of the eclipses that crossed the U.S. Went to the place of totality in that middle strip. Actually, for this last eclipse, we went to the place where the X marks the spot, right there near Carbondale. Yeah, I love all the different things, and so it makes me wonder, like, one night the rarest, most spectacular alignment could happen and I could just not know about it. And that's always like this thing on the back of my mind. I'm like, man, I hope I don't miss a good one. And it's just up there gleaming in the sky as 5 planets line up in a single line, and then like I just didn't know about it. You guys ever get that thought like, oh man, I hope I don't miss out.
I think they call that FOMO.
FOMO. That's called fear of missing out, fear of missing stars. All right.
Yep. Anyways, FOMO.
This is between the 10th and the 14th for those who are interested, when they'll all be up in the sky at night. But here's this cool perspective artist I found that does these perspective drawings of like a massive scale. And when you see it zoomed back, it looks like a literal giant is crouched down next to the city. And just the skill to do this is amazing. But man, if I had this ability, I'd be making all kinds of crazy creatures like crawling towards the city. But look at that, guys. Like the girl looks like this giant, just sketch giant that is drawing the soccer field by perspective. And it's really cool.
Yeah, I do crop circles.
Crop circles.
Yeah, just freak people out.
Yeah, it's too great of a power doing a large artwork like that. People would do all kinds of things that, somebody might not appreciate. But, for those that have the gift and the wisdom to use it properly, they can do amazing things like this. And we can all appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah.
You really kind of hate to cut the grass after that.
Exactly right.
That's
Hey,
a gross
here's
beard.
all right. Well, here's some footage from the recently reported deepest living ecosystem down in one of those deep trenches.
Living animal ecosystem yet discovered.
Just recently came out.
This
Pretty interesting.
complex community has been found at the bottom of an ocean trench.
We always
over
talk about
9,000
exploring
meters
the
below
deep.
the surface.
Not space,
This
right?
is far deeper than any light can reach, so the ecosystem here depends on chemical energy. In these spots, chemicals like methane and hydrogen sulfide seep up through the rocks, and bacteria convert them into energy in a process known as chemosynthesis. The discoveries were made by this 3-person submersible, which set out to explore ocean trenches in the northwest Pacific Ocean. At the bottom of the trenches, researchers saw these amazing scenes. Little white gastropods perched on top of colonies of long, thin tube worms and bristleworms moving among them. In shallower parts of the trench, they saw what they called clam beds, where the seafloor is dense with bivalve mollusks, and patches of white, snow-like microbial mats. Many of these creatures are thought to be new species, and several are thought to contain methane-digesting bacteria in a symbiotic relationship. Chemical-based ecosystems are also known from hydrothermal vents and other methane seeps on the ocean floor, but none as deep as this. Trenches like these form what's called the Hadal Zone, after the Greek god of the underworld, and it's an area that researchers are only just beginning to widely explore. This mission revealed a surprising complexity of life here, as well as an unexpected abundance of methane.
Anyways, I just wanted to let everyone know the deepest found living organisms survive off farts from the earth. So, yeah,
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I know. Check this meme out. Roses are red. Free thinkers are few. If you keep obeying orders, you'll have a chip inserted into you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. No, thank you. I thought this was a really interesting conspiracy somebody was pointing out. We have a lot of these mainstream stars, like the star of the recent Friday show, and these different pop stars and whatnot. And you see as they transform from these kind of like young, like cool, like cute looking, they get these like really rugged, masculine, like kind of
So Ozempic
physiques.
face. That's when you take Ozempic.
Yep, Ozempic face. And it's interesting because you're seeing this metamorphosis of these people that are put on pedestals for our youth. And Xavier said, I'm going to, censor some of this, but he says it's a scheme by Globo Homo to get them to look like men and transition in order to little by little get dudes to be like, oh, well, women and men all look the same these days. So, and it, honestly, I am censoring this comment, but it's true. They're literally in the past, couple years, a lot of these stars kind of made that morphosis over. And I believe it all goes back to the ancient Greek days of effeminizing men through shaving. So, I'm just going to trace it back to, the shaved baby faces of the Greeks was the original conspiracy to, misidentify the genders. And, I'm not trying to be hard on my co-hosts here. I'm just speaking to the origin of where I think the cultural like confusion of genders allows them to push this depopulation agenda. It goes all the way back to them.
Well, if you have a good-looking jawline, you might want to show it. Like Jason Momoa. Did you see that where he shaved his beard? No,
that was hilarious. I think that's what I would probably look like, Jeremiah. Remember those videos of the guy with no chin? And
yeah,
I'm basically a no chin talking beard. Well, this was pretty crazy. These fishermen found probably maybe the best fish can be caught in the most dangerous situation. But check this out. He zooms back, and they're like fishing in the middle of this massive waterfall gorge.
Something only white people would do.
Hey, y'all, we've got the big ones down here.
Mhm.
Yeah. So this one was funny. I saw it was just a little tidbit about how Stephen King's wife Tabitha threatened to divorce him due to listening to Lou Bega's song Mambo 5 over and over and over. Now, Stephen King is one of these people that he's constantly siding with the agendas of the age, it seems like, but he also is a prolific horror fiction writer. And so to get into the head of the guy that his whole goal in life is to horrify and disturb America, apparently to get to the headspace to do that, you have to listen to that song over and over on repeat.
And that dude is so ugly. He'd be in the top 5 most ugly people, I think. Stephen King. He looks like Stephen Hawking kind of, but without the hello.
He does. He looks like a distant relative. Here's this next clip kind of gets into a recent, more serious topic. There was a giant sting catching predators who are using apps to try to get young underage people.
Posed as children were contacted by these men who range in age from 18 to 64, according to deputies. Channel 9.
And this is an ongoing example of these type of stings that are happening across the country under the new FBI led by Dan Bongino and the guys that are coming in after the Epstein files that they can't.
You know who they should head of this department of the child trafficking? Chris Hansen, because that's the last thing a pedo would want to hear is, "Hi, I'm Chris Hansen. Have a seat."
Wow. Yeah, so you're seeing this all across the country, and it's really weird how, for one, they're going after all these people that are using apps for and getting entrapped basically, and then you have the back and forth with the administration regarding the Epstein files. And we're going to talk a little bit about that because the Democrats apparently just recently found Epstein file loophole law to make them fully release the Epstein files. And it's really kind of like, wait, some of them are on it, but they're wanting to use a loophole law to make sure it's released so that they can prove that Trump's name is somehow associated with it, or at least they think it is. Yeah. But before we get to that, in recent astronomy news, since we did share the little alignment that's coming up in a few days, back to that meteor or interstellar object that they've viewed. I mean, it can be viewed on a telescope, and it's interesting, and it just shows how just these small flybys can become so excitable to the space observing community.
All of these indications imply that maybe this trajectory is extremely unusual, and could it be that it was designed? That's a possibility that we have to contemplate. If it doesn't continue along its path after October 29th, it's possible that the stock market will crash.
Now, Harvard professor.
Okay, so obviously, we lean conspiratorially flat Earth, right? For those of you who aren't aware, there's a lot of things that make us question what NASA and all of these space agencies have presented to us about cosmology. either the Earth is not all that we've been told it is, and they're flat out liars, or we live in a matrix, which is basically a realm that we don't comprehend, right? But whenever it comes to things like this, you see them hyping it up, but what's the big deal? It's just this dot going across a telescope. Well, you heard him say it just now that, well, the stock market might crash. What? One more time.
Has seen before.
And it also comes from the direction of the center of the Milky Way, which is very crowded. So all of these indications imply that, maybe this trajectory is extremely unusual, and could it be that it was designed? That's a possibility that we have to contemplate. If it doesn't continue along its path after October 29th, it's possible that the stock market will crash.
Like, what in the world? Like, hey, we've witnessed a tiny speck going at 1/3 of a degree through our quote unquote solar system, and the stock market might crash. It's funny, but you see the long reaching implications of space propaganda. And it's not to take away from what we can obviously go outside and observe with our own telescopes and whatnot, but the way that they connect celestial phenomena with real world, fear mongering is what I'm trying to point out
and
to you
then
guys.
There should be some policy makers deciding how to respond to that.
Let's take you back to outer space. And you remember we talked about that little dot moving around out there that some say is a comet, but it's not just any comet. Our Brian Hackney shows us why astronomers around the world are so excited.
This is Chabot Space and Science Center, and this is space expert Gerald McKeegan.
I got interested in astronomy when I was a kid.
And as a grown-up, he's got quite the telescope.
You have to have suspenders to do that
massive,
job.
century-old Chabot refractor, which has seen planets, galaxies, and the occasional comet. You remember your first comet?
Oh gosh, in the 1990s we had Hale-Bopp and Hyakutake, but for us astronomers, there are a lot more comets out there that we can't see with our naked eye, but we can see with our telescopes.
Just 2 weeks ago, one of those telescopes in Rio Hurtado, Chile, spotted one of the most extraordinary comets ever seen, designated 3I Atlas. It's this tiny moving smudge against a forest of stars.
And it came into the solar system at amazingly high speed of 135,000 miles per hour.
Davide Farnokia is with the Jet Propulsion.
So just once again pointing out that the reason they're all excited about this is because they claim the way that they're observing it shows it's a trajected, it's a orchestrated trajectory pretty much. And,
right.
And that's what it's the big deal. This is why you're seeing this on your feeds at night, guys. This is why people are talking about it, because the way that it's traveling, in their observation is makes them, excited. It's different than most different objects that they can witness up there.
It's an alien.
Will also arrive to the closest to the sun on October 29th, when the Earth would be on the opposite side. So we won't be able to observe it. And moreover, it passes very close to the inner planets like Jupiter, Mars, and Venus, with a very small likelihood of doing that.
An unprecedented call to Hamas. The entire Arab League, along with the European Union and 17 other countries.
So moving on to the Palestinian drama and the fact that there are different nations flipping on previous agreed designations for Gaza and threatening Israel. And this is just going on right now in the UN.
Of a functioning, sovereign Palestinian state after the war is over.
It's a meaningful indication of this momentum that's been garnered to support a two-state solution.
They're basically saying this is leading to a multinational UN force in Gaza, and that's what they anticipate being there on the ground.
The U.S. is one of the only permanent members of the UN Security Council not to do so. And we've heard from both the French and British leaders say that part of the reason for this push is that discussions about arriving at a two-state solution had really subsided, especially amid the spike in tensions in the Middle East.
Our main goal is to deliver a clear message. that peace is possible. We want to build an alternative to the state of permanent war in the region, and this alternative must come by way of the two-state solution, Israel and Palestine living in peace and security. This is France's historical position, and it is the only way possible.
Days before the conference, French President Emmanuel Macron announced that he would formally recognize the Palestinian state in September, with France becoming the first Western member of the UN Security Council to do so. 142 of the UN's 193 member states currently recognize the Palestinian state, and Saudi Arabia's foreign minister urged more nations to do the same.
Only through the establishment of a Palestinian state and only through addressing the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people to self-determination can we have sustainable peace.
Part of that warning came yesterday, as you mentioned, from Canada, which now plans to recognize the state of Palestine during the UN General Assembly in September. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney made that announcement yesterday. It comes one day after the United Kingdom said it would do the same, barring a ceasefire in Gaza. Last week, French President Emmanuel Macron said his country also will recognize Palestine.
I can confirm the UK will recognise the state of Palestine by the United Nations General Assembly in September, unless the Israeli government takes substantive steps to end the appalling situation in Gaza.
Gegenwärtig aber nicht als den richtigen Schritt. Es kann einer der letzten Schritte auf dem Weg zur Verwirklichung einer Zwei-Staaten-Lösung sein.
To some breaking news now, there is a threat of a tsunami after.
Okay, so last week, guys, we witnessed the 8.8 earthquake that happened in Russia, and it had some like crazy tsunami threats going out. People were freaking out. It was the biggest earthquake since 2011 when that tsunami hit Japan. So what we're going to see here is some really interesting footage OPA found of the actual earthquake now that more time has been given for this footage to surface of the day that this 8.8 hit. And I found a guy, this gem of a shot, that was walking his dog on the shoreline of Kamatke, or whatever, the place where the earthquake hit. And it's just amazing. You can see this massive wave like hit the wall. He's sitting there with his dog. His dog's like, let's get out of here. But anyways, let's start with
earthquake off the southeastern coast of Russia.
Let's start with OPA.
Currently,
let's start with your footage here
for Alaska
of the earthquakes.
And threats for Japan and Russia. There's also a tsunami watch issued for the state of Hawaii and Guam. So far, no word of.
All right, ready?
Here we go. So this is the big 8.8 that the whole world was freaking out about. Nemo! That would be terrifying to be in a big building. Wow. So I think it's just crazy, some of that footage coming out of these big earthquakes. Now, we've seen some crazy earthquake footage over the years, and I saw some footage of the tsunami that hit Japan. It hit Hawaii, but it wasn't crazy. The craziest thing was the footage of the people getting stuck in a traffic jam trying to escape the coming tsunami that actually wasn't as bad as it could have been. But this is a guy from the shore there in Russia the day that this earthquake hit, and you can see the initial waves of the closest landmass to this epicenter. You can see the waves being sucked out here. Look how high up he is. He's on this massive hill. That's hundreds of feet down. Boom. Look at those massive waves.
All the way up.
Man, those are big waves. Let's get out of here, master. Jeez. And then they start getting up on the hill, and the guy's like, okay, the dog was right. Let's get going. Crazy. What were you saying there, Opa?
You know what the tallest tsunami wave in history?
Was it? There was one in Finland and one in Alaska. There were two really tall ones from like a cliff that fell into the water, right?
Yeah, Alaska and Norway. The Alaska one was 1,795 feet, and the Norway, I believe, was close to 2,000 feet.
Wow.
So those are taller than, obviously, the Empire State Building. It's almost as tall as one of the tallest buildings in the world.
That's huge. Huge.
Huge.
Just like Jeremiah said, at that point, you just grab your surfboard and try to make it cool because you're all going the same way. You might as well go out in style, right?
I just wonder in Hawaii how many surfers actually did try to go out.
I wonder if there's footage of it. We could probably find some. Apparently, the earthquake set off a chain of volcano eruptions. Here's the Krasnyanakov volcano erupting for the first time in 500 years, allegedly. I mean, I wasn't alive 500 years ago to actually tell you if this is true or not, right?
You weren't?
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, that's what I'm claiming, at least, right?
That region of Russia actually has the most volcanoes per area and the most active. I think there are like 30 different volcanoes that are in that area, and I think 9 of them are active. And this one, I think it was several hundred years before it hadn't gone off for several hundred years, like you said.
Yeah, it's just amazing. I know this was many years ago, but I only just now found out about this story. Apparently, there was a 515-mile-long mega flash that was a bolt of lightning that stretched across the sky over 500 miles from Texas to Missouri. And it happened back in 2020, right? So I like to think like maybe back then, Jeremiah, I was in Missouri and you were in Texas, and it was just like friendship bolt.
Sounds about right.
It was very, very close after this mega flash that we became friends. So, just
flash that made it all happen.
I think it's cool because, there's that Bible verse that say the coming of the Son of Man will be like lightning from one side of heaven to the other, and every eye will see it, basically. And so when you see stories like mega flashes that literally are going across from the heavens, it's kind of cool. So here's another meme I found. Well, it's actually not a meme. It's a unsettling dystopian ad in New York City. Wait, let me read it. Stop hiring humans. The era of AI employees is here. So this was on a big billboard in New York. Yeah, guys, don't forget to hit that like button. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Had emerged from World War II as a global economic superpower.
All right, so this is Jerome Powell, and he's giving this backstory from the 1940s, and he says some interesting things here about the coming kind of order of the United States and monetary systems.
The Bretton Woods Agreement placed the U.S. and the Fed in a central position in the global economy. Our mission then, as it is now, was to serve the American people. But it was clear at that moment that the Fed needed to have better knowledge of global developments to achieve our dual mandate goals. A 1948 memo proposing to create the division stated, quoting, "Problems of international economics and finance have become increasingly large, complex, and significant in recent years, and our foreign economic relations will undoubtedly continue to give rise to issues of the first magnitude." That rare economic forecast that has turned out to be spot on. 75 years later, it remains critical that the Fed understand the policies and practices of other governments and central banks and their implications for the U.S. economy and for financial markets.
It's coming.
So, Bretton Woods, the new digital economy. Very interesting. Let's see here. This is not real news. This is fake news, but I've been seeing increasingly a lot of fake news claiming that Russia is engaging in nuclear submarine tests near the U.S. border, and all this kind of crazy stuff. And it's interesting. I'm getting a little alarmed about how quickly fake news is getting to the point where it's hard to discern between what's actual news and what's not. And we're living in a dying era, guys. Like, there's going to be a point where they basically either nothing you hear you can trust if it's not verified firsthand, unless you like really trust thesomeone and they saw it with their own eyes. And you know, I mean, we're going to have to create some kind of new verification system. And I think there's a little idea in it, you know, right there for some entrepreneur out there, some kind of verification app. You know,
actually, Google has some already.
But do you really trust Google?
Well, I don't know, but I do know that they do have some software that can look at these images and whatever. And actually, they have looked at the moon landing. It'll be in an Opus. It'll be in an Opus corner.
Yeah, I mean, we all saw the fact checkers of Facebook and how sometimes they were a little skewed politically, right? And so my question is how do we trust the fact checkers that we have to check the facts that we have? And it becomes this feedback loop, right? And anyways,
how many facts?
Yeah.
This is just how many facts can a fact checker check if a fact checker could check facts?
Exactly. Yeah, this was earlier this year, the announcement of the Golden Dome. But I just find it interesting that we have all this propaganda of this coming nuclear threat of Russia, and then they're like, oh, by the way, we're starting construction, and this is real news, right?
Mr. President, add this to the long and growing list of promises made and promises kept. Ultimately, this right here, the Golden Dome for America, is a game changer. It's a generational investment in the security of America and Americans. Mr. President, you said we're to secure our southern border and get 100% operational control after the previous administration allowed an invasion of people into our country. President Reagan 40 years ago cast the vision for it. The technology wasn't there. Now it is, and you're following through to say we will protect the homeland from cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, hypersonic missiles, drones, whether they're conventional or nuclear. It's not lost on me, sir, also that you had the vision to start the Space Force. And here we are, when the others said we didn't need it, here we are in the Oval Office with one of the leaders of the Space Force in General Gutlein, leading the charge on putting in place a game-changing Golden Dome for America. So, sir, it's an honor to be a part of this bold initiative. We're going to get to work on it. We have been since you signed that executive order on January 27th. We've been fast forward on this. We're here on this day, and this is just one stop in delivering this defense of the homeland, which is something you charged us with doing, and we'll keep going until it is complete, sir.
Thank you, Pete. Pete's doing a great job, by the way. Thank you.
Are you guys excited for the dome, the Golden Dome?
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised why, like, I mean, it's kind of like they're telling that we don't already have one. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, they're basically announcing like, oh yeah, by the way, if you want to get a shot in, you better get it in before 3 years from now, because then we're going to be able to stop you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently President Obama mentioned in a recent podcast that I don't know what accent I'm doing here. I lost it. I tried to do Obama. You're much better at it than I am, but he thinks everybody should have a gay friend, and he said it on this podcast here.
Well, he does. Big Mike. Allegedly.
I had a gay professor in college at a time when openly gay folks still weren't outlawed, who became one of my favorite professors. You need that to show empathy and kindness. And by the way, you need that person in your friend group, so that if you then have a boy who's gay or non-binary or whatever, they have somebody that they can go, okay, I'm not alone in this.
Thank you.
Right.
You do go.
So, in other flaming news, the Grand Canyon's Dragon Bravo fire reaches mega fire status, surpassing 100,000 acres. It's pretty crazy. The big smoke plume coming off this fire.
Like to do that, especially on Fridays. Sometimes we can have Abby Hornacek join us. But in this case, there are a couple of fires that we've seen burn through 2 of America's national parks.
Yeah, and look at the time-lapse video we have for you. This is the Dragon Bravo fire in Grand Canyon, Arizona. The fire was able to produce these pyrocumulus clouds because of the heat, the intense heat, pushing smoke right up into the atmosphere. So you get these robust cauliflower plumes that shoot up miles, several miles, dozens of miles into the atmosphere. It's wild to actually watch. The Dragon Bravo fire, it is now considered a mega fire and has been active for nearly a month in northern Arizona. More than 110,000 acres have burned as of this morning. Notable landmarks have been destroyed. The Grand Canyon's North Rim, it remains closed. And remembering, this broke out the 4th of July, and the cause, lightning.
Hate to see it too, especially just how much land has been burned. And in the southwest corner of Yellowstone National Park, a lightning strike also is to blame for the ash fire. This is some drone footage of that smoke. The ash and one other fire started on Wednesday after Yellowstone saw more than 350 lightning strikes. In fact, there was a marginal risk for severe weather over Yellowstone.
So, yeah, we got a lot of wildfires burning. We have even over here in, I believe, Bursa, Turkey. Got some wildfires here. This I saw this GIF, and it says billionaires doing esoteric ritual to convince the government they owe them nothing in taxation. We don't owe you money. It's just like, it's such a fun, because it's kind of true. It's like what they're literally doing. And then in context of this next video, this is every single rich and famous person that ever went to a Hollywood party that bumped shoulders with Jeffrey Epstein, doing a weird ritual, hoping that their name gets off of the list of knowing him. They're just like, make it disappear, make it disappear, make it disappear. Well, guess what? The Democrats are going to do some kind of loophole law to release the files for us.
One of my Democratic colleagues on the Homeland Committee, in invoking a century-old and little-known law known as the Rule of Five to compel the Department of Justice to release the full and complete Epstein files. Under federal law, when any 5 senators on the Homeland Security Committee call on the executive branch must comply. Our request covers all documents, files, evidence, and other materials in possession of the DOJ, the FBI, related to the case of the United States versus Jeffrey Epstein. While protecting the victims' identities can and must be of top importance, the public has a right to know who enabled, knew of, or participated in one of the most heinous sex trafficking operations in history. Let me remind everyone of what's happened in recent months. Donald Trump campaigned on releasing the Epstein files. He broke that promise. Trump should stop hiding from the truth. He should stop hiding from the American people. So today, Senate Democrats took action. We're invoking federal law and using our authority as a check on the executive to compel transparency.
Very interesting. So I don't know what that's going to do. You know, honestly, at this point, I'm so jaded by the political just shenanigery that I don't know really what comes of any of these claims of any politician ever. But maybe something cool will happen. I don't know. Maybe we'll get some more information on who's a creep and who's not. But honestly, I was going to say I could care less who's the creep, but, you know, I do care in the sense of I want people protected from evil Illuminati, you know, guys. But when all of our attention is so focused on those topics, it's at the point where it's like, man, they just keep putting the carrot in front of you to keep you focused on it because you don't want to not care because these guys are so evil. You want them to get found out. But then at the same time, it's just the never-ending story. And apparently some Supreme Court decisions to end race-based districts, and this could heavily favor Democrats and could impact a double-digit number of blue seats. And then I thought about this statement, and I put two and two together. This is exactly why the political party of the Democrats is so engaged in race baiting and gaslighting based on race culture, because their whole demographic is based on segregated districts. Like race-based districts is what's supporting them in their seats. So I think that's kind of interesting that, you know, this change is going to possibly affect them having their say. Recently, Zuckerberg announces new Meta Vision glasses. We saw an ad for it recently, but apparently everybody needs to have their super intelligence on their face. There's also been some record floods in New York. This is some footage from the New York subway station and flooding from gross, nasty sewer water that people have to like climb around in the subway to not step into the puddle, right? So, more historic flooding, what do you know? But this time up in the Northeast.
The geyser.
Yep. All right.
This is...
So this is, I think, the last clip I have for us today, and there's one more little story after it just to mention. But this was fairly early in the kind of statements that RFK Jr. was making for the HHS. But apparently his Bernie supporter kids break down in tears from this statement. And it's all about the sweeping health changes that they're making for the benefit of the American culture and American society. But I think what's interesting is you're having these sweeping positive changes when it comes to getting processed chemicals out of our food. Yeah, they're saving our health in this way. But then you have this introduction of all of this crazy genetically modified food, mRNA V food, and all this stuff happening at the same time. And to me, it's really strange how you can be so excited to hear things like this video and yet so disappointed to see what's being rolled out without any checks and balances in terms of technology that's affecting our health in other ways. That's, a blind eye is being turned to.
This is an issue that, I grew up in the Democratic Party, and every major Democratic leader for 20 years has been making this promise to the American people. This was the fulcrum of Bernie Sanders' runs for presidency, that he was going to eliminate this discrepancy between Europe and the United States. But as it turns out, none of them were doing it. It's one of these promises that politicians make to their constituents, knowing that they'll never have to do it. And the reason they'll never have to do it is because they know that Congress is controlled in so many ways by the pharmaceutical industry. There's at least one pharmaceutical lobbyist for every congressman, every senator on Capitol Hill, and every member of the Supreme Court.
Just a quick pause. That statement is why I showed this video, just to remind everyone that this is now public knowledge being spoken from the White House, that the pharmaceutical industry is by and large far beyond any other advocate for, politics, putting money in the pockets of our politicians. And you're hearing it from the head of the HHS himself. And so no wonder that's why it is we're having all this stuff slipped through from pharmaceutical companies trying to experiment.
By some estimates, 3. Pharmaceutical companies, the industry itself spends 3 times what the next largest lobbyist spends on lobbying. So this was an issue that people talked about, but nobody wanted to do anything because it was radioactive. They knew you couldn't get it by Congress. We now have a president who is a man of his word, who has the courage. President Trump was taking money from the pharmaceutical industry too. I think they gave you $100 million. Yeah. But he can't be bought, unlike most of the politicians in this country. And he is standing here for the American people. I don't know what, there's writers like Lord Elizabeth Warren or Robert Reich who are saying that President Trump is on this side of the oligarchs. There has never been a president more willing to stand up to the oligarchs than President Donald Trump. And I'm very, very proud of you, Mr. President, for your courage, I'll say, because I don't want to be crude, your intestinal fortitude, your stiff spine, and your willingness to stand up for the American people. We have 4.2% of the world's population. Our country represents 75% of the revenues for pharmaceutical companies. We spend in our country $1,126 per capita on drugs. In Britain, they spend about $240. They spend 1/5 of what we do. And this is true across Europe. And the drug companies, Europeans, if you ask them, it made no sense what they were saying. America has to pay for this innovation or it's not going to happen. What President Trump is saying to our European partners is you've got to raise the amount that you're paying for those drugs and pay for your share of the innovation. That the United States is no longer subsidizing that. If the Europeans raise the price of their drugs by just 20%, that is $10 trillion that can be spent on innovation, and the health of all people all across the globe is going to increase.
So I wanted to share that because there was this recent innovative article I saw of a baby who was like a 30-year-old embryo that was born to an Ohio couple. He had been frozen for more than 30 years and believed to be the longest storage time before a birth. The couple's son was born from an embryo that had been in storage for 11,148 days, which the doctor said sets a record. So when this baby was born, he was simultaneously the oldest baby and the youngest baby, in that split second right as he was born at the same time. So he was the oldest and youngest baby at the same time. Isn't that kind of crazy?
That's pretty crazy.
So, anyways, that's all for this week, guys.
All right.
Okay. All right. Well, I tell you what, Jake, do you know who Derek Huffman is?
Oh, the actor?
Nope.
Well, then I'm not familiar.
Derek Huffman is the father of 3 daughters aged 11, 12, and 13. In 2022, his family moved from Arizona to Texas, Humble, Texas, actually, just outside of Houston, to escape what they saw was growing influence of the LGBT ideology. But as political shifts spread across the states, the Huffmans decided to make a drastic decision. They decided to leave the United States altogether. Now, this is news that I didn't even see this until just recently. So let me just show this video. I've got a bunch of videos kind of together here that goes over a little bit about background about the Huffmans moving. All right, and where they're moving to. So let's take a look.
Updates. What's going on with me? I have joined the Russian military.
Meet the Huffmans.
All right, hello everybody. We are the Huffman family.
They look like a quintessentially American family, but earlier this year they made an unusual decision.
Making this video today to talk a little bit about why our family moved to Moscow from Texas.
Now, the father has joined the Russian army and is being sent to fight on Putin's front line.
They are going to put him on the front lines. He feels like he's being thrown to the wolves right now.
This Texan family moved to Moscow in search of a conservative Christian utopia, and they've been vlogging their whole journey. They say they are fleeing an American ideology that wants to control them.
I guess it started a couple of years ago with the LGBT indoctrination of kids.
We are just so blessed at this point in our lives to be away from the things that we feel are disrupting our children's lives and trying to change who our children are.
Russia launched a so-called shared values visa for foreign nationals last year. It grants individuals the right to apply for a temporary residence if they reject the destructive neoliberal ideological attitudes that contradict traditional Russian spiritual and moral values. On YouTube, the Huffmans have been proudly sharing the virtues of their new Russian life.
We went to the Moscow region and applied for our temporary residency and got our green card. Yay!
And now, the father Derek has enlisted in the Russian army to prove his commitment to his new homeland.
I have joined the Russian military. Big reason I'm doing it is for the citizenship. So if I sign a 1-year contract and I go and serve it, my family and I all get Russian citizenship. And if I go put my body on the line for Russia, I defend the country, our new country. I've earned our place here.
He also says that he subscribes to the Russian war aims, quoting justifications common in Kremlin propaganda.
I believe in the Russian cause. Ukraine has been shelling and killing and persecuting its native Russian population. I won't sit here and act like I'm the know-it-all on the whole situation, but I know enough to know that Russia is just in their cause and they're doing the right thing, and this Nazi regime in Ukraine needs to be stopped.
But Derek is now being sent to fight for these causes sooner than expected.
He was told he would not be training for 2 weeks and going straight to the front lines, but it seems as though he's getting 1 more week of training and closer to the front lines, and then they are going to put him on the front lines. Not getting really any training because, unfortunately, when you're taught in a different language and you don't understand the language, how are you really getting taught? You're not. He feels like he's being thrown to the wolves right now.
This video emerged last month, and although the vlogs continue, we haven't heard an update on Derek's situation since. We reached out to the Huffmans to find out, but they declined an interview with the Telegraph.
I miss you so much. I love you. Today's Father's Day. Wish I could be there, but I'll be home for the next one.
This was the last heartfelt message an American dad sent home to his wife and kids. Except their home is now Russia, where Dad is fighting on the Ukrainian front lines in Putin's army. It's a wild story that is playing out in real time on their YouTube channel, Huffman Time. Here's everything we know about the anti-woke family who fled the US to Russia and the dangerous turn of events they didn't see coming. It all began in March of this year when Derek Huffman and his wife Deanna moved their 3 daughters, ages 10, 11, and 12, across the globe to avoid woke ideology, including LGBTQ stories that they claim were being pushed at their kids' school in Texas. Using a special Kremlin-backed visa program aimed at right-wing expats, the Huffmans settled in the town of Istra outside Moscow. Moscow is also where the couple had honeymooned years before. Their new home? The American Village, founded by US blogger Tim Kirby in 2023 for conservatives seeking to escape the liberal gender norm, although only 2 families have moved so far.
And I know how much you're struggling without me, and I'm so grateful that you're doing this for me so that I can do this for our family.
A dad from Texas has been sent to the front line by Vladimir Putin just months after he moved his young family to Russia to escape woke America. 46-year-old Derek Huffman has been thrown to the wolves by the deranged Russian wartime regime, according to his devastated wife, who is now reportedly begging the US government to save him. Derek uprooted his home life and jetted off to the small town of Istra, just 25 miles from Moscow, alongside his wife, their 3 daughters, and their husky. The Texan, along with wife Deanna, decided to move to Russia after claiming the US education system had become too progressive, after their daughter was taught about lesbian values. A trip to Moscow in 2023 later convinced the family that Russia was the perfect place to bring up their children in a more traditional society. Derek applied through the Shared Values Visa Scheme, which attempts to attract foreigners who reject destructive neoliberal ideologies which Putin claims are often pushed by the West. The family made the move and expected to start their dream lives. But Derek soon found himself in trouble after he agreed to join the Russian military.
He joined on purpose.
He joined.
He believed he would be given a role such as a welder,
And
or
he
a
had
war
to pay
correspondent
10,000
due to his
rubles.
lack of experience as a soldier. But Deanna revealed in a vlog uploaded to the family's YouTube channel that her husband has now been drafted to near the front line as a fully fledged fighter. The heartbroken wife says she fears for Derek's life as he doesn't speak any Russian and had only been given a limited amount of training. Since being deployed to fight against Ukraine, Derek has only been able to speak to his loved ones on a handful of occasions. His last message came in June, on Father's Day in the US, as he spoke to his family while wearing military combat gear.
See, I'm doing well. Probably see I've lost a few pounds. I miss y'all more than you can imagine, and I can't wait to see you.
Watch this guy come
Hopefully
back
get
a war
vacation
hero
at some
for
point,
Russia. He
and,
just
get
like
to come home,
pwned all
spend a
the
couple of weeks with
Ukrainians,
you,
and
but,
he comes
man,
back
you're
in
on my
a
mind
year,
24/7,
just battle
and,
hardened. He's
just
like, I
know
left
that
all
what
them
I'm doing is important to
gay
me,
Westerners,
important
and now
for
I'm
our
a
family.
man.
I miss you
Man
so
for
much.
Russia.
I love you. Today's Father's Day. Wish I could be
Hey.
there, but I'll be home for the next one. So y'all take care of each other, and I love you very much.
Yeah.
Bye.
I wonder how common this is.
Here's an update on the anti-woke American. This is Derek Huffman. He is the 3rd person from Texas to move to Russia and end up joining the Russian military. This guy and his family are insane, and they're so scared about LGBT people here in America, they decided to move their entire family to Russia for a more traditional lifestyle. He then was basically tricked into joining the military. He was promised a behind-the-lines welding job. They then gave him less than a week of combat training and sent him to the front lines. His wife hasn't heard from him since he was put on the contact line. The assumptions are he's now dead. We haven't gotten confirmation. I don't know if they'll ever find his body.
So dark.
But this is weird that he is the 3rd man from Texas to join the Russian military.
By
The
the way,
previous
that's not
2
true. He
were
is not
also
dead.
killed. This guy, His name is Russell Bentley,
Oh,
dubbed
yeah, we
the
did a story on
Donbass
him
Cowboy.
before.
He went to Donetsk in April of 2024 and joined a local militia. As soon as a group of Russians figured out he was an American, they tortured him to death and they stole all of his stuff. Hard to feel sorry for him. The other American is Michael Gloss. He died in April of 2024, and he's actually the son of a senior CIA official. He dropped out of university and went backpacking, ended up in Russia, and then this guy identifies as a communist, decided to join the Russian military to defeat the evil American industrial complex, and now he's dead. Yep.
By the way,
if I return to the U.S., it'll be, on a Russian tank, to liberate the U.S., just like what we're doing here. If I go back to the U.S. unarmed, I'll spend the rest of my life in prison for some bogus bullshit charge.
On the front line with the denazifiers and liberators of Ukraine. These guys are tough, these guys are ready, and there's plenty of them. So far, Russia has used about 10% of its military power, and we're getting ready to bring the hammer down.
But I don't need to go back to the U.S. I have a DPR passport. I'm a citizen of the Donetsk People's Republic. I'm also a Russian citizen. I have a small house with a big garden, a beautiful, brilliant wife who's smart and tough and cool, speaks 3 languages, more educated than 90% of the people in the United States.
These guys are gonna save and liberate all the good people in Ukraine, and the bad people, boom, kick their
We have a small house, but we have a big garden. I got apple trees, I got grapes growing, I make my own wine. I'm 61, dude. I don't know how much time I got left, but I'm gonna live here in, the breadbasket of the world. One of, the coolest, most beautiful place I ever been. And I've been around. I've been all over Europe, dude. I've been, Mexico, all over the United States. There's no place there's no place that I could even think of that I haven't been that I would rather live than here.
So, and Derek, by the way, he's like 47, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And Derek is not dead. There had been a lot of reports on the internet and blogs and stuff like that said that he was dead, but he did talk to his wife. There is on their blog, there was a audio recording of him talking to his wife, I think on July 26th, after he was reported dead. Before he was. Yeah, the discussion was after he was reported dead. So apparently he is still alive, although there are, July 26th, there are a few days between here. So if he's on the front lines, he might still be in danger. Now, there's a commentary that I picked up that I thought was kind of hit the nail on the head. So let's listen to this little commentary.
In the spring, 46-year-old American Derek Huffman packed up his family and fled the so-called decadent West for the alleged stronghold of traditional values, Russia. He stated reason, protecting his kids from ideological processing around LGBT plus topics in US schools. Yes, really, he moved to Russia for moral clarity. Which is ironic considering Russia's version of family values includes one of the highest divorce rates in the world, rampant domestic violence that was decriminalized in 2017, and a culture where 50 to 70% of women report abuse. Add in state-run orphanages, one of the highest abortion rates in the world, and an average male life expectancy of under 65, you got a society that looks less like a conservative utopia and more like a dystopia with a nostalgia filter. So the Huffmans, Derek, his wife Diana, their 3 daughters aged 10 to 13, and a husky named Baby relocated to Propaganda Village outside Moscow. Built in 2023, this Potemkin village was supposed to attract conservative Americans fleeing liberal decay. The total number of family who came? 2. including the Huffmans. Now, that's more like a field trip than a major migration. Anyways, Derek, a Texas native, wanted a Russian citizenship fast, so he signed a contract with the Ministry of Defense, expecting a cushy logistics job. But this is Russia, where rear support means next wave of cannon fodder. He was promptly shipped to the front in Ukraine. Now, according to his wife, Derek has zero military experience. His training was in Russian, a language he didn't speak. She said he was misled into signing the contract and never received the promised salary. Instead, the family had to send him money so he could buy basic gear. You join an army and suddenly you're figuring out your own supply chain on Telegram. And then came this video, Diana's plea for help. It was deleted, but the internet remembers.
Getting a little tired, so I'm gonna walk back. But as I'm walking back, I wanted to share a little bit about what's going on with Derek. When he signed up and had all of that done, he was told he would not be training for 2 weeks and going straight to the front lines, but it seems as though he's getting one more week of training and closer to the front lines, and then they are going to put him on the front lines. So we are all praying really hard that he could actually be utilized for his skills and not just be put as a fighter.
And shortly after the video went up, Derek disappeared somewhere in eastern Ukraine. No official update, no support, just silence. Meanwhile, Diana, who had proudly beaten alcoholism 3 years prior, relapsed under the weight of their crumbling life in Russia. And really, who could blame her? The country's suicide rate is nearly double the global average, and its mental health services are basically a shrug in bureaucratic form. So here's the moral. If you're fleeing LGBTQ+ education because you think it's the end of civilization, maybe don't run straight into the arms of a regime that's more interested in using you as cannon fodder than giving your kids a future. Because in Russia, they won't just indoctrinate your children, they'll bury them too.
So, one other little point that I thought about is that, of course, Russia is, if they're a Christian family, Russia is atheist. So it just doesn't make any sense why they decided to go to Russia. Just
Putin
strange.
is very, very Christian, though. He's got the the Russian Orthodox background and
Greek Orthodox.
Yeah, Greek Orthodox. So I guess their government is atheist, and they're really strict about proselytizing too. So yeah, I think I remember seeing that video of Putin inviting Americans to come. I think we showed it probably like last year. I remember seeing that video, and so it's interesting to see the impact of people moving over and then getting conscript. Well, I mean, he signed up, but he signed up because he was told that once he finished his year that they would get expedited Russian citizenship. Yeah,
and but if you notice, they mentioned in there, or she mentioned in there, that he had to get his own gear for the military, and he had to pay 10,000 rubles to get his gear. So, and he hadn't been paid.
Ouch. Yeah.
So, and by the way, the two Texans that have gone over there, they're not the only ones that have gone. This is a family from Canada. So let's take a look at this.
Canadian couple was so fed up with LGBTQ people and wokeness that they sold everything they owned and moved to Russia. And boy, was it a disaster. You may have heard about Aaron and Anissa Feenstra, conservative Christian farmers from Canada who, likely with the help of lots of propaganda, are so afraid of LGBTQ people and so convinced that Russia is a utopia, they moved 8 of their 9 children there. The eldest is rumored to have stayed back in Canada because he thinks his parents are, how can I put this politely, nuts. And at first glance, Russia seems like a perfect place for them to go. The country has been been actively recruiting people like the Feenstra, and even announced plans to build a migrant village near Moscow for disgruntled right-wingers, sick and tired of queer people having rights or whatever. So the Feenstra answered that call, sold their farm and their whole real estate business, and moved to Russia with the assurance that the government would help them find farmland. But it seems like the Russians were LOLJK about that, because that's not really how it went. Shortly after they arrived, all of their assets were frozen. Officials who promised to help them disappeared, and since they don't speak Russian, they couldn't even get information, let alone their money. The whole debacle had Mrs. Feenstra saying that she was ready to jump on a plane and get out of here. But it seems in the intervening weeks, the Feenstras have worked something out with the Russians. Since posting a groveling apology to Russia for Mrs. Feenstra basically being like, I hate it here, they've basically pivoted their YouTube channel to propaganda. I'm sorry, I meant to say glowing tales of their new life in Russia. It's all chicken farms and squashing the Western media and whatnot. So hooray for happy endings, I guess. Still, imagine being so upset about a group of people who have no impact on your life whatsoever, and also don't even make up 10% of the population, that you'd go through all of this just to get away from them. The grass is always greener, as the saying goes, and propaganda works.
So, not just U.S. people, but also people from Canada. Very interesting.
Yeah, I hate that it's like truth mixed with lies. Like, it's like, yes, they're calling out the agenda to, you know, destabilize the natural family structure in the West, you know, and that's being pushed in Ukraine. And yes, there, you know, maybe there's Christian values to bring people over there, but then people are showing up and they don't speak the language. And, you know, it just makes me think of like greater Exodus experience. Like where would you go if you had to move anywhere in the world and just plug into a society? Where would you go, Jeremiah? Like, what would your escape be?
Trying to think of a good one. I don't know. I like it here in the U.S. I was going to say Panama City Beach, Florida, but that's in the
Yeah, you're
US.
still here.
Yeah. I don't know.
Where would you go, Opa?
Well, if I were going to go to another country, I would go to Germany because that's my that's kind of where I came from as far as my heritage is concerned, and the little village that excuse me, my parents grew up in, and it's very, very nice there.
Do you think immigration has affected the place in Germany you would want to go? Like, we've seen that footage coming out of Germany recently of just the streets swarmed by people doing the 3 times a day prayer, and you know, a very
that's all in the major cities. You know, my parents came from little villages that are, you know, maybe have 2,000 people in each village. So, you know, that whole area probably only has 4,000 or 5,000 people. And I don't think it's affected at all by what was happening in the different parts of the major cities. Now, I have one last little thing, and it's just it's kind of like a meme in a way. Jake, what would you say the nickname for Las Vegas would be?
Sin City.
Okay, Jeremiah, what do you think?
I would say the city that never sleeps, but I think that's New York. But I would say I don't know. I think of gangsters, but I was gonna say Sin City too.
Yeah, Sin City. That's the more prevalent, the Sin City. Also, it's been called the marriage capital of the world, or the City of Lights, or the ninth island.
I call it where Elvis, you know, did a lot of concerts for several years.
The people who live in Las Vegas, they call it Glitter Gulch. And there are a lot of Hawaiians that live there, and they call it the ninth island. And it's also been called America's Playground. But during the 1950s, Las Vegas added bomb detonations as many of their attractions that were offered and promoted itself. They promoted themselves as the Atomic City. They even issued a calendar for tourists with times and best places to view them. And over 12 years, there was an average of 1 bomb detonation detonation for every 3 weeks. So I found this picture, which I thought was quite interesting. Now, I was just a little kid at the time when all this was happening, so I didn't even know what was going on. But here you go. This is Vegas and people watching atom bomb detonations from Las Vegas, the atomic city.
Whoa. Man, I wish they'd do that nowadays. We could go out there and get some music video footage and stand, you know.
Could do with AI.
All right, that's all I got.
All right, I got one clip, and it's a please excuse my sense of humor if you guys want to watch it and laugh a little bit.
Yep.
All right, here we go.
Huey.
What are you doing? Hi.
Meow.
Hey, Buxton. Donnie. Dinner.
Mando, can you hear me?
Hey, buddy. What you doing?
Oliver. Yeah.
He's taking
Meow.
Hey. Frankie, it's Daddy. Oh my God.
Wow.
I don't know what happened with this one.
Little baby.
Little baby.
Hey, what are you doing?
They need us for our poop. Huh? Watch that lady. Watch her. See? See? It's like they're collecting it for something.
What do you think they're doing with it?
I think they're using it to make chocolate. Have you ever had a piece of chocolate?
No.
Exactly.
Whoa.
Oh, why?
Just like witches.
So I had to add an Aussie one, but I don't know why it keeps pausing on me.
Like witches at black masses.
Copyright.
Yeah, that's how we know cats are evil. I mean, they're basically all of the words of this song all the time, just plotting black magic and whatever.
I have one of those for Charlie.
Wow. Copyright, copyright, copyright.
Research in satanic kind of cults and stuff like that. You know, as a matter of fact, in Los Angeles right now, there's like 50,000 devil worshippers, and that's not even include that's not even including the agents.
Yeah.
But let me
Our
tell you
crowd was
something.
too busy cheering satanic worship to hear the joke.
Yeah.
Just remember that.
Whoa.
I don't know why it keeps pausing on me.
Hey guys. Oh, big gulps, huh? All right. Well, see you later.
Look at this. Look at that.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Look
Would you look at this?
Would you look at that?
Take a look at this. Look at
Take
that.
a look at it.
Look at
Look
this.
at that.
Look at this. Look at that.
Look at
Look
this.
at all
Look
that.
at that.
Look at that.
Look at this. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
Look at
Oh,
that.
Nice vacuum cleaner.
I'm not fat.
I'm just a few meals ahead and a few shits behind. Y'all always assuming that a bitch big. Wrong.
We'll have to do like a milestone. If we hit something, I will do this to my face.
It's like a Jim Carrey scene too.
Hello.
I bet you that's where Jim Carrey got it from Pee Wee.
I want more.
I thought you would like this, Jake.
And I know I shouldn't.
Sir, I would like to say that you have a very, very large wiener.
You remember 90s? But where you could just call in?
Hi, I was wondering how expensive a Harley Davidson would be to get like a used one, a smaller one.
The used one's probably
Who's
would run
Lonnie
between
Anderson?
$3,000 and $6,000 or $7,000 for a smaller bike. The new bike price would be somewhere in the area of $5,000 to $6,000 for the.
There's something wrong with this video that I uploaded. Oh.
Okay,
there we
pussy
go.
fuck, asshole, dick, lick.
Live video.
You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Start tearing this ship apart piece by piece until you find those tapes. Find the passengers of this vessel.
You have to add it again. Jeremiah's favorite clip.
Every time I have a, please excuse my sense of humor, I have to add that clip just to, funny.
Awesome.
I think I do have, if I can get it real quick. No, I probably can't. But I was going to say, everybody get your TrutherCon tickets. The early bird special is about to end, so I've been working on my presentation. I'm not going to give anything away, but it's going to be pretty epic.
That's amazing. Yeah, guys, make sure to drop a like on the video, and thanks for joining us for our live stream tonight.
Yeah, we love you guys.
Hope you liked it.
See you guys.
See you next week.